This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from RicoScores, and man, I am so happy today. I've been screaming about doing this all the way since December, man. Breaking news, the Washington Commanders have signed Samuel Cosmi to a 4-year extension, not contract, extension, man. Is this a future all-pro loading up here? Is this Rivera's best draft pick by far? I mean, did Washington not miss a step after losing Brandon Sheriff to the Jaguars? Adam Peters and Dan Quinn both speak on the situation. And of course, just to let you know, as you can see on the top left, this video is sponsored by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. We're going to dive into everything that we need to about how good he's going to be this year, how good he's been, and all of the different angles we can look at for this, man. I'm just super excited, man. This is a leader of the team. This is arguably the best player on the team. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content. Again, even though I've been busy, I'm away from home, I'm making sure I get y'all these videos I'm not playing. So imagine how I'm gonna be when I get back home, man. Daily videos, even some days more than one video in that day. I will be live streaming the entire Commanders versus Buccaneers game, of course. So make sure you pull up for that live stream, everything, man. Make sure you stay tuned. I'm working on the game preview as well with some interesting like matchups that we have. What are the Buccaneers' strengths and weaknesses? What are our strengths and weaknesses? Of course, I'm gonna come with some crazy stats as well. We're going to dive into all of that later on, but today we're focused on Samuel Cosmi. Let's go ahead and dive into this video, man, instead of wasting more of y'all time. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so big Commanders news, man. The team just announced they signed Samuel Cosmi to a 4-year extension. This is something that even caught Ian Rappaport's eyes. He said the Commanders and standout guard Samuel Cosmi have agreed to terms on a new 4-year extension, sources say. Cosmi's deal, done by Ryan Tallner and Chase Callahan of Excel Football, secures his future in Washington for years to come. I am so excited, man. And I bet he signed that contract doing that dusty little gritty that I think he was that against the Ravens in that preseason game where we broke their record setting, where we broke them trying to continue setting a further record of their preseason win streak. I think that was the Ravens preseason game or something like that, where he was doing that dusty little gritty. He probably did that after he signed his contract, man. Maybe that's his go-to move. Who knows, man? But either way, man, we just signed our best offensive lineman to an extension. Now I'm hoping Brandon Coleman eventually turns into a great offensive lineman as well. If we're talking ceilings, if we're talking about just pure athletic profile, God-given ability, natural talent, Brandon Coleman is the closest guy to Samuel Cosmi on this roster, but he's still a third-round rookie that has pretty much missed this entire offseason worth of practices. I mean, he was there for summer training camp, but he missed the entire preseason and pretty much all of the training camp practice during that preseason. But, I mean, Tyler Biadasz is a really good center. I think a top 10 center, but he's not a freak athlete like Brandon Coleman and Samuel Cosmi are. We already know Andrew Wiley. I mean, fairly limited, and we just hope that he can go out there and just be all right. And then I'm guessing we're going out there, I'm assuming, with Nick Allegretti as starting left guard. And, I mean, I like him, but he was a backup for the Chiefs, and he looked great when he had to step in and start for them, even while hurt. But if we're talking about ceiling, like all pro ceilings, the next closest guy to Samuel Cosmi is probably Brandon Coleman. And again, this is a third-round rookie that has missed a healthy chunk of the offseason. So Samuel Cosmi is easily and by far our best offensive lineman as of today. The only person even close to him 2024-wise is probably Tyler Biadasz, and that may not even be close as well, is my main point. Also, shouts out to Rush Manuel, too, because this is great news. Cosmi not only earned it from his play on the field, but also his commitment off the field as well. This is a guy that is heavily involved in the community. I believe he's from Texas. I know at least he went to Texas. So this is a guy that, I mean, could easily just go back to where he's from and, you know, give back to the community like a lot of sports players do. But he's been staying in the DMV, helping the DMV every way that he can, every chance that he gets. So, I mean, if there was anybody deserving of this, not only just on the field, production and talent-wise, but even off the field, commitment-wise as well, this guy's earned it. And it really says something when this new regime hasn't even seen him play one regular season game yet, and they knew to jump on this opportunity as soon as possible. I just said yesterday, and I've been screaming it since December, that we better sign him long-term before this season starts, because the price you can get him for right now will not be the same price you can get him for by the end of the season, or maybe even by mid-season. Arguably one of the favorite moves that, at least for me, one of my favorite moves that Adam Peters has made since he came here in February to become our general manager. In my opinion, since at least October, Samuel Cosmi was the best player on this entire team last year. I would argue throughout the entire season, but I feel like it's undeniable. We can't even have the debate October on as to who was the best player on our team last year. I love Terry McLaurin, I love Jonathan Allen, but Samuel Cosmi was our only player that had like an all-pro argument to be made easily. Like, I think he honestly deserved it last year, but again, it kind of like took some time for he and Andrew Wiley to get that chemistry down on the right side. Once they got that chemistry down, Andrew Wiley went from being terrible to like an average, slightly above average right tackle, I can honestly say. That's why I'm not as worried about Andrew Wiley as a lot of people are in this fan base. I think once him and Samuel Cosmi got that down, they were good to go. I mean, offensive line, like I keep saying, you can bring in 5 all-pro offensive linemen from 5 different teams in the same offseason, and they will probably go out there week 1 and struggle a little bit. A lot of offensive line play has to deal with nuance, chemistry, and basically like knowing the guy to your left and the right and your right, knowing exactly what they think in certain situations, what they would do without the chance. I mean, it's split seconds with a lot of the decisions you have to make without, you know, having to hesitate or anything like that. You just know what they're about to do, what they want you to do, all of those type of things. That takes time. So, like I said, it doesn't matter how talented your offensive line is. If they haven't had the time to gel, there may be some struggles out there. That's why I am worried about this early season right now, because our only returning starters from last year are Samuel Cosmi and Andrew Wiley. But back to my main point is that it took those guys some time to get their chemistry down. But when they did, Andrew Wiley went from being unplayable to an above average starting right tackle, I would argue. And Samuel Cosmi went from a guy showing Pro Bowl flashes, fairly inconsistent. I mean, you got to remember, he made a transition from tackle to full-time guard, and then he went from that to all-pro right guard, and I would easily argue last year. And so I feel like chemistry had a lot to do with that, chemistry and time for them to finally get that to gel, to mesh well and get that going. And once they did, I mean, he took off, and I mean, there was just no looking back. And shouts out to Samuel Cosmi to being the first veteran contract that Adam Peters has given out longer than 3 years. Y'all remember this whole offseason, it was 1 year deal here, 1 year deal here. If you had any question marks as far as age, or even just maybe even talent or something like that, 1 year deal. And the longest he was giving out deals for was 3 years. Even to a guy like Frankie Louvu, who I know we could go ahead and sign him to a 4 or 5 year extension. I'm very confident in his ability 5 years from now. But even he only got a 3 year deal. Samuel Cosmi just went and got a 4 year extension, man. Come on now. So now the Washington Commanders have contracts that run through the 2028 season. The list is very short. It's Jaden Daniels, because he has a team option for 2028, and then Samuel Cosmi. That's it. That is literally it. So if we pick up Jaden Daniels' team option for 2028, as of right now, we only have 2 players on our team whose contracts run through the 2028 season, and that's how long we have Samuel Cosmi and Jaden Daniels on this roster. I'm so excited, man. Those are your 2 building blocks on offense, if you haven't figured that out just yet. Also, shouts out to Serge the Shooter for pointing this out, because Samuel Cosmi getting a new deal ahead of the 2024 season is very turned. Shouts out to them. We don't have to worry about this going into the next offseason, going into the 2025 offseason, where we're trying to figure out, are we going to trade for a receiver? Are we going to try to, or maybe like sign a big time receiver, Brandon Ayuk is signed long term, so we could forget about that. But like a T. Higgins or somebody like that. CeeDee Lamb is also signed long term as well. T. Higgins is like the only one left that people were talking about. But are we going for a big time receiver? I mean, what are we going to do as far as re-signing our own players whose contracts are up? Because we have a lot of guys on 1 year deals, most notably like Austin Eckler, Bobby Wagner, a few guys on this team. Even though Austin Eckler's deal kind of like 2 years technically, but either way, We have a lot of problems we're going to run into in the next offseason. This is just one less problem that we have to worry about, man. And I'm so happy that we have them locked in for at least another 4-5 years almost, because again, it's an extension. So we already have them down for 2024. Now we just signed them to 2025, 2026, 2027, and through 2028 as well. And I mean, isn't it just nice to avoid the Brandon Sheriff type of fumble again, man? I mean, it looked like we were destined to do that until Adam Peters and once we hired Adam Peters as our general manager, I was far more confident that we would get the deal done. But we were starting to get closer to the regular season. I was starting to worry, like, maybe they will not get it done. Maybe we're going to end up in an ugly situation where they let them test free agency. Maybe they franchise tag them. But thank goodness, no Brandon Sheriff type of fumble again. No franchise tags. Just getting the deal done, plain and simple. Shouts out to Brandon Sosna as well, my guy, because I'm pretty sure he worked some magic here as well, to where Brandon Sheriff is getting a lot of money, but then it's also not hitting the cap space for too much. So I'm really excited to see what the actual details of this deal are, because I'm pretty sure Brandon Sosna put some sauce on it, man. Let's get it. But I mean, back again, isn't it just nice to not have to worry about signing our players long term, man? I mean, the previous two regimes really struggled with this. The Rivera era was terrible at drafting, but the Gruden era, even though they weren't as bad at drafting, but I wouldn't necessarily say that they were great either, they didn't know how to sign their players long term at all. The Kirk Cousins, the Brandon Sheriff, all of that type of stuff. Even though Rivera couldn't draft to save his life, at least we were able to sign Gruden picks long term. You know, of course, he didn't have a chance to sign any of his picks long term. First of all, he wasn't here long enough. And secondly, he didn't draft anybody really worth signing long term outside of Samuel Cosmi, honestly, so far. So, but again, Ron Rivera was able to sign Terry McLaurin, Deron Payne, and Jonathan Allen long term. All of those guys were Gruden picks. And it is just crazy, like, how ugly these previous two regimes go, all dating all the way back to over 10 years ago of what we've had to deal with, man. And for Adam Peters and company to come here within the first year and do things that the previous regimes never did is very impressive, man. And so it looks like we finally have a regime that could potentially both draft well and sign guys long term. It's really a breath of fresh air, man. We're not used to that. Now going back to Samuel Cosmi, he's only 25 years old right now. That's insane. He was drafted by the Commanders, 51st overall in the second round of the 2021 NFL draft out of Texas. And, you know, as a Georgia Bulldog fan, you know, I got beef with Texas right now. I can't wait to play them in a few weeks. But either way, man, Samuel Cosmi, good people. So, you know, we're not going to worry about that. But he was entering the final year of his 4-year, $8.178 million rookie contract that included a $2.17596 signing bonus. I mean, since he was a second round draft pick, we didn't have the option to pick up a 5th-year option like we did with Jamin Davis, which is just crazy when you look back at it. If Samuel Cosmi was a second round pick, Jamin Davis was a first round pick. That is pretty crazy. So this was the final year of his contract. No matter what happened, we had to sign him to an extension or allow him to go into free agency or franchise tag him, whatever. I'm glad they chose the right answer out of all of the other possibilities that they could have chosen. Remember, in 2023, Samuel Cosmi appeared in and started all 17 games for the Commanders at right guard. Thank goodness for that. The health, the consistency, the top-notch production. Really appreciate you, Samuel Cosmi. If for some reason you watching this video, man, just know thank you. Thank you very much, man. Jaden Daniels is going to love you when we go out there. But, again, the details of the extension were not disclosed yet. We don't exactly know the numbers and things like that. But we do know that Samuel Cosmi, again, was a second-round pick out of Texas by Washington in 2021. And he has been a mainstay of the team's offensive line over the past 3 seasons. He has played in 40 games with 32 starts, including all 17 in 2023. I really want to emphasize the fact that he played in and started every game possible last year. Adam Peters even spoke on it. He said, "This is a great day for the Washington Commanders. We're excited to have reached an agreement on a contract extension with Samuel Cosmi. Sam has brought into the vision that Dan Quinn and I have had for this team since day one. He is a pillar of our offensive line, and we believe that Sam's best playing days are ahead." I agree. Sam is a great leader and teammate. We're excited that he will be a member of our team for years to come. I want to thank Sam's representatives, Ryan Tallner, Chase Callahan, and Richard Buffum. It looked like both of them to me, but Buffum, for the professionalism and partnership in getting this deal done. I'd also like to thank Brandon Sosna and Rob Rogers for their tireless work in getting this extension completed. I'm telling you, Sosna worked some magic on this. Rob Rogers, I'm pretty sure he assisted, but Brandon Sosna, from what he did with those Lions contracts that you saw that like Amon-Ra St. Brown and all of those guys signed, I'm telling you, this guy You know, we've always complained for the past few years that the Commanders don't finesse the cap space situation, how other teams do. Brandon Sosna is arguably, you could say, the best at it in the NFL. So I'm pretty sure, I can't wait to see these numbers because I know he could. Continuing with the quote from Adam Peters, it was impressive to see both sides work so well together. On behalf of the entire Commanders organization, I'd like to congratulate Sam, his wife Blair, and their daughter Clara on this special day. Unquote from Adam Peters. I love that. And I do want to remind you, though, that Samuel Cosmi played right tackle for his first 2 seasons before switching to guard ahead of the 2023 campaign, where he also played a little bit of guard, like, and kind of flip-flopping back and forth in 22. They set him up for failure. I don't even know what they were trying to do right there. Cosmi has never played guard in his career, technically, especially going all the way back to like college and things like that, until they had him flip-flopping back and forth in 2022. Then 2023 was his first time, I believe, making a full-blown switch to guard, to where that's all he did. That's the only thing he did. And then it ended up working out. And I mean, just to let you know, back in that 2023, he only allowed, 1 sack for 4 hits on 1,103 offensive snaps last season. That's crazy. As for how he stacked up compared to against guards around the league, Pro Football Focus ranked Cosmi 4th in his position overall with an offensive grade of 80.6. He was at his best as a run blocker with the 6th best 80.9 grade in the category, but Pro Football Focus ranked him 11th in pass blocking with a grade of 74. But just looking at Pro Football Focus guards again, he was ranked 4th from Pro Football Focus last year based on what he did in 2023, only behind Chris Lindstrom, Kevin Dotson, and Quinn Miners. That's it. That's better than Joe Feliciano, Robert Hunt, Greg Van Roten, Graham Glasgow, Joe Tooney, Trey Smith, Tyler Smith, Isaac Samalo, Wyatt Taylor. Oh, man, I remember Wyatt Taylor coming out of the draft. I wanted him so bad. Tevin Jenkins, Kevin Zeitler, Quentin Nelson. He's supposed to be like a generational player. Landon Dickerson, Zach Martin, Brandon Sheriff himself. How about that? Brandon Sheriff is ranked 20th. Samuel Cosmi is ranked 4th. And just to be petty, Will Hernandez, I believe he used to be on the Giants. He's ranked 22nd. You have Shaq Mason, Alex Kappa. I mean, literally everybody. Mark Glowinski of the current Giants right now, just to be petty. Cam Jurgens of the Eagles, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to compare. Zach Martin, again, 18th right there of the Dallas Cowboys. Landon Dickerson of the Eagles. I'm just trying to be petty and compare him to all of the Dallas Cowboys and Giants players. You have John Runyon and Aaron Stinney from the Giants as well. He's ranked above those guys. Those guys are 47th. Tied for 47th together on the same team, which is interesting. But either way, Samuel Cosmi, my point is, the 4th best guard in the NFL according to Pro Football Focus based on what he did in 2023. But the reason I keep emphasizing based on 2023, because if you go and look on, and from June 5th of 2024, Pro Football Focus did an article of the top 32 guards heading into the 2024 season. So we know how they felt about the guards in 2023, but how do they feel about the guards going into the 2024 season? Well, again, they had him ranked 4th based off of what he did in 2023. Going into 2024, they have him ranked 3rd. So they feel like he's going to be even better going into next season than he was last season. Same thing I feel, same things Adam Peters said that he felt. I'm pretty sure this entire organization feels the same way as well. But even Pro Football Focus agrees as well. They said Cosmi was quietly one of the best guards in the NFL in 2023. His 80.6 Pro Football Focus overall grade ranked 5th at the position, technically 4th. I don't know where 5th came from. And he had 7 games with an overall grade of 80 or higher. Despite that, Cosmi didn't garner the attention he deserved in his first full season as a starter at guard. Let's emphasize that guard. They didn't say that. He spent most of his first 2 seasons at right tackle for the Commanders before making the switch to guard in 2023. His 4.3% pressure rate allowed last year was the 19th lowest at the position. Stop sleeping on Samuel Cosmi. So again, ranked 4th off of what he did in 2023, but Pro Football Focus is projecting him to be the 3rd best guard in all of football, only behind Chris Lindstrom of the Atlanta Falcons and Joe Tooney of the Kansas City Chiefs, even ahead of Tyler Smith of the Dallas Cowboys, Quinn Miners of the Broncos, Kevin Zeitler, everybody else, Zach Martin, you can keep going down, Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, doesn't matter. Samuel Cosmi is better than all of those guys, I would argue, and Pro Football Focus feels the same. Now, before we go further into this video, because we still have a lot of things to talk about, I gotta let my boy Michael Vick talk to you about BetUS Sportsbook, and I'm gonna talk to you right afterwards.
Michael Vick at BetUS.com. Catch an incredible 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. BetUS, my online sportsbook and casino.
All right, so you heard it from Michael Vick himself. But I gotta ask you, man, are you looking for a new book this football season? It should be BetUS for show. Stop playing. First of all, they have the fastest payouts in the industry, and I know y'all want y'all money fast. And when you sign up through me, you can get a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000, or even a 200% crypto deposit bonus with your first deposit. So make sure you check out my BetUS link in the description below and the pinned comment below as well. Your boy RicoScores is gonna hook you up every single time. And while we're here, let's go ahead and look at some bets. So if today you're trying to project who's going to win the division, as you can see on your screen right now, the Commanders are third in odds right now with a plus 1,000. The Giants laugh at them, you know what I'm saying, plus 2,000. I highly doubt that. It doesn't matter how much money you can make. That's just money you're just throwing down the trash can. But the Washington Commanders, I would say, honestly have a chance to surprise everybody and win this division. You're not just hearing it from me. I've heard national media members also say the same thing as well throughout the entire offseason. Don't be surprised to watch out for them Commanders. So as of right now, with the plus 1,000 odds, when you're looking at it, basically, for example, if you put down $10, you could potentially win $100. You put down $10 and the Washington Commanders win the division, you win back $100, man. I think that's pretty good money there. If you just have a random $10 sitting around that you was just going to spend on something useless anyway, you might as well go ahead and put it on this, in my honest opinion. But matter of fact, if you're feeling real good about it, you put $100 down, you can win back $1,000, man. I mean, we're already going to be rooting for our team to win the division anyway. Might as well go ahead and put some money behind it, add an extra fuel to the fire, you know what I'm saying? And let's go win this division, Commanders. Let's get it, man. And again, just to remind you, when you sign up through me, you can get a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000, or even a 200% crypto deposit bonus with your first deposit. Again, make sure you check out my BetUS link in the description of this video and the pinned comment as well. Again, I'm going to get y'all right every time. Now moving on, shouts out to @Commanders Realm, because I completely agree. He said, gotta give it to Samuel Cosmi, man. Dude overcame not only being a second round pick here, but being a second round pick here under Ron Rivera. First second round pick to receive a contract extension here since Fred Davis. Well deserved. And if you go back and look at it, you second round pick wise, 2008, Devin Thomas, Fred Davis, Malcolm Kelly. 2011, Jarvis Jenkins. 2013, David Amerson. 2014, Trent Murphy. 2015, Preston Smith. 2016, Sua Cravens. 2017, Ryan Anderson. 2018, Darius Geis. Then 2021, Samuel Cosmi. And then 2022 for Darian Mathis, who I was about to give up on. But now it looks like he's finally turned things around. So maybe these last 2 most recent second round picks are hitting. We know Samuel Cosmi definitely did in 2021, but going all the way back, you got to go again all the way back to Fred Davis of the 2008 draft, the last guy that was a second round pick that got a contract extension here in Washington. That's ridiculous, man. Easily, in my opinion, Ron Rivera's best draft pick. I would argue even by far. The only debate is by how much of a better draft pick he is than any other draft pick that Ron Rivera had. I mean, we could just start with 2023. Emmanuel Forbes, question mark. Quan Martin, really excited about him, but not to the level of Samuel Cosmi yet at all. But same round, though, same second round. Ricky Stromberg, I love his talent, but didn't work out here. Braden Daniels, I was actually liking what I was seeing in the preseason. Didn't work out here. KJ Henry, loved him, but for some reason this regime was willing to let him go to the Bengals. Chris Rodriguez didn't make the team, but I think he is on the, no, I'm not even, is he on the practice squad? I can't even remember. Andre Jones didn't make the team. Jahan Dotson traded. Darian Mathis just found like something just clicked like 2 preseason games ago. Brian Robinson, dog, definitely one of the better picks. Percy Butler, dog. Samuel Cosmi traded. Cole Turner didn't make the team, back on the practice squad. Chris Paul made the team, backup interior offensive lineman, but he's a 7th round pick, so I'll give Rivera credit for that one. Christian Holmes, not on the team. Jamin Davis, 1st round, barely made the team. Who not picking up his 5th year option. Samuel Cosmi, yes sir. Benjamin St. Juice as a 3rd round pick, pretty good. De'Ami Brown, same thing as a 3rd round pick, pretty good, but not exceptional yet. John Bates, pretty good pick, I believe, out of the 4th round. That was a pretty good one. That's a slept on one from Rivera and them. Derek Forrest, I mean, he was struggling to make this roster, but I believe in his talent. I think that's a pretty good pick from Rivera. Cameron Cheeseman, arguably his worst pick of all time, arguably one of the worst picks in NFL history in all time. You traded up for a long snapper, and he was one of the worst long snappers of all time. That's like Inception level of bad. Like, I mean, you gotta die. It's like bad squared, like to the third power, how bad that is. Like, it's like multiple levels of man. Long snapper. Then you traded up for him. Not only did you draft a long snapper, but you traded up for him, and he was one of the worst long snappers I've ever seen. You could have just pulled a guy off the street to do what he did. William Bradley King didn't make the team. Shaka Toney, gambling, and probably wouldn't have made the team either way. Dax Milne did not make the team. Then 2020, Chase Young. I mean, Antonio Gibson, we let him go to the Patriots. Sadiq Charles, we let him go to the Titans, and then he retired. Even though he was projected to be a starter, that was a weird situation. He was projected to be one of their starting guards and then just retired mid-offseason. Antonio Gandy Golden, who I forgot about that name. Keith Ishmael, forgot about that one as well. Khalid Hudson, I liked him, but they didn't feel the need to keep him. Cameron Curl left in the offseason. I believe he went to the Rams or something like that. And James Smith-Williams no longer here as well. So Samuel Cosmi is easily and by far the best draft pick. I'm not going to sit here and act like Ron Rivera didn't have any good ones, but overall he was a terrible drafter. If you're shooting out of the I would say around 40 draft picks we're talking about, if you only had like 4 or 5 good ones, at best 8 you can argue, then yeah, you should never do that again. You should never be allowed near a draft board, a draft room, anything ever again. He should be locked out of even mock draft simulators from Pro Football Focus and all of those different websites. Don't allow him to even have fun with it in his free time. Don't even give him any ideas how bad that was. But shouts out to Ron Rivera for at least getting Samuel Cosmi right. Now, at practice today, Dan Quinn, first of all, he pulled up without his backwards cap. I mean, just straight, bald, glistening head, no cap on, not to the back, nothing. So he meant business today. And so maybe it was in spirit of signing Samuel Cosmi long term. Maybe he was so excited he forgot the hat when he walked out the house. I don't know. But either way, Dan Quinn said that he's really excited and happy to get the Cosmi deal done. And then he also said that it's a big deal for Commanders GM Adam Peters to get the extension for Samuel Cosmi done before the season. And he looks forward to the guard helping anchor the interior for the line for years to come. Dan Quinn also talked about and said, quote, he's a Commander through and through. He plays tough, square, and strong. He'll be an anchor inside for years to come, unquote. And shouts out to Burgundy Blog, because I completely agree. Cosmi is good, tough, still young, and edgy, but stable. Exactly the kind of player you want to lock up. I completely agree. I mean, he's literally the perfect guard if you had to build one in a lab, on and off the field. Physically, mentally, everything. I love it. I also love how Samuel Cosmi is willing to speak out as well, because he was one of the main people upset out loud to the media about how Eric Bieniemy was refusing to run the ball. Before Eric Bieniemy was even gone or fired, Samuel Cosmi was like, man, this ain't it. And we need that type of personality around here, man. It makes me miss DJ Swearinger a little bit. I feel like this regime would be the type of regime that would like him. They would probably have to lasso him in just a little bit, like calm it down just a little bit. But those are the type of personalities that do help teams be great. DJ Swearinger was just here during a bad time when they just weren't ready for a personality like that. I think a personality like a DJ Swearinger would excel right now. But I feel like Samuel Cosmi is like the perfect balance of like, you know, he's not as far and not as dramatic and aggressive as DJ Swearinger, but he's also just not standing around and letting things happen without calling it out. I like the fact that he was trying to hold everybody accountable, including Eric Bieniemy and even Ron Rivera, for being like, man, why are you allowing him to get away with this? Remember, there are a few players, and from an article that came out after the end of the season, basically saying like, man, Rivera, why are you allowing this guy to do all of this? And Ron Rivera, I guess, was like, man, it's his offense. I let him take the wheel. It is what it is. I'm out anyway. I don't even care type of thing. But even the players were looking at Ron Rivera like, yo, you just gonna let him ruin your last season like this, bit dog? Like, you just gonna let him just go out there and just be hot dog water with the play calling? And I'm pretty sure Samuel Cosmi was one of the main players leading that battalion going up to Ron Rivera's office like, yo, man, get your boy, get your dog, man. Either way, though, shouts out to David Harrison for tweeting this. He said, newly extended guard Samuel Cosmi all smiles today as the Washington Commanders get the Bucs week started. So they're at practice again today, and they have Samuel Cosmi at the practice and taking pictures of him. Of course, he just signed an extension, and apparently he's been big smiles all day at practice. David Harrison also pointed out the fact that he got a lot of love from his teammates in the pre-practice huddle as well. So I love the camaraderie of this team. That was probably my favorite thing out of this entire video. Only after Samuel Cosmi would sign long term. That's number one. But after that, the fact that all of the teammates, like before practice started in the pre-practice huddle, like made a big scene of it, and like we're hyping them up and we're congratulating them and we're excited for them and things like that. That's the type of thing that almost makes you tear up, man. That's the type of team that we're building right now for these Washington Commanders. I absolutely love it. They're bringing back the fire for this team, man. They're making us believe that we can actually have a chance to go out there and be great. And it starts with the internal things like that, where the teams just really not only believe in each other, but also just support each other and love each other, man. So I'm really happy about that. Oh, hold up, wait. I was just editing the video. I had to stop and make sure I recorded this real quick because it said that Samuel Cosmi signed a 4-year, $74 million contract extension, over $45 million guaranteed. You love to hear it, man. And I'm not gonna lie, that's definitely cheaper than I was expecting, man. So is that somewhere like $11-12 million per year in that extension? That is way cheaper than I was expecting. I thought he was going to get, like I said, I think he's a future All-Pro. I think he could even make the All-Pro team, at least Pro Bowl, this upcoming season. And I thought he was going to get somewhere between like 19, maybe 20 million per year. To get him for guaranteed money-wise, which is pretty much what the cap space is going to be. I'm pretty sure he's happy on his end. I mean, he's a super duper millionaire right now, so I know he's good to go. But team wise, I told y'all Brandon Sostin was going to cook, man. So this guy is apparently going to be on average like a $12 million cap hit per season. That's insane for an All-Pro, especially with the contracts that these next guys are about to start getting. Getting him done before the season started, and especially before the 2025 offseason, is going to pay off huge. That is ridiculous, man. Because it's technically like $18 million per year overall. But when we're talking about guarantees, which is what matters like cap space wise usually and things like that, it sounds like he's only going to be like an $11 or $12 million cap, depending on how it goes. But at worst case, even including the non-guarantees, he's at worst $18.5 million per year. That is a huge steal no matter how you look at it. And again, it's probably going to be less than that $18.5 million per year. It's going to be somewhere in between that $11.5 to $18.5 million per year annually. That is insane because people are definitely about to start getting their contracts within the 20 per years. So, hey, man, they cooked. They could. That's arguably our best move of the entire offseason, man. That is insane. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please still farm that like button, still farm the subscription button, still farm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned. I will keep y'all updated on everything Commanders. Doesn't matter what's going on. I got y'all. So make sure you stay tuned. And again, when I get back home, when you see me with my normal setup with the dogs at the bottom left, I promise y'all I'm gonna be hitting y'all with multiple videos a day. We're gonna be live streaming that game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I will definitely be home before that so I can make sure I'm there to live stream my normal setup and all of that. I really appreciate y'all. Do not leave this video without leaving a like, and of course let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Do you agree or disagree with any of my points? Of course, let me know how you feel about the whole Samuel Cosmi extension. Do you feel like this was well deserved like I do? Do you feel like he's destined to be an All-Pro sooner rather than later? Let me know how you feel about all of that, man. I really appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all stay tuned for all of the content. And also, before you go, remember that this video was sponsored by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. And if you don't do nothing else, please make sure you gamble responsibly, man. Please do that one right there. All right, now, I'm going to catch y'all later. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.